on to the show. We're totally ready. How's everybody doing on this lovely Friday? It is muggy as crap here in Springfield, Missouri, but we're surviving.
Up to this point.
Up to this point, yeah. We're pretty used to the humidity. Today, we are talking about finishing your edges. Are you ready to talk about finishing your edges?
A little bit, yeah. Where should we start?
Well, so let's talk about your, maybe we should start at construction?
Okay. If let's just say you've made yourself a belt, a single ply belt.
Okay.
Just one piece of leather. And this is a piece of buffalo, which is a chrome tanned leather, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, I think it's a re-tan, so it has a little bit of veg in it, but it is chrome tanned, and then they finish it with a veg, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing that I would do I would bevel the edge of it, and I've got a number 2 edge beveler here.
Okay.
So let's bevel this edge. And I'll bevel it top and bottom.
Which, it doesn't really matter which edge beveler you, a lot of people are like, what beveler is the best? It kind of just depends on how round or square you want your edge.
And the thickness of the leather. The thicker it is, the bigger edge that you need to take off.
Yeah.
This single ply at number 2 is pretty good.
Although if you have like the SLC Pro bevelers, a number 2 is probably going to be too small. So you probably need to do like the 4 or the 5. Every style of beveler is a different size of bead that it's going to take off. And so just kind of play around with what you have. Some different options till you, like if you have a piece of the leather that you're using and you're still working on your edge finishing technique, like take a piece of the scrap and bevel it with a couple of your different options until you get the amount of roundness for the edge that floats your boat.
Yeah. If you take too big an edge off of a thin piece of leather and do both sides, it's going to come to a point.
Right.
You know, and
which
you
is
don't
not
want
good.
that.
Yeah.
You just... And also it depends on the effect that you want. If you want the leather to look thinner, take a bigger edge off. Mm-hmm. If you want it to look thicker, don't take as much of an edge off.
Right.
Use a smaller edger. But anyway, now I've got this beveled. And if we wanted to just be straightforward about it, let's use some gum trag here. And I'm just going to use a piece of canvas, this burnishing canvas. Good, because I forgot to bring mine.
The best edge beveler is a sharp edge beveler. And we've done a whole bunch of sharpening videos in the past. For edge bevelers, you can use string or the edge of a piece of leather that has been beveled with that beveler, and then you put rouge on it, and then you can drag it back across.
Yeah.
And you can strop the beveler. Never go into the leather like you're cutting. Always pull towards yourself.
That's right. Okay, I've got some gum trag on this, and that's all I've got on it. I'm going to get it here on the edge of this table. Maybe I ought to get to...
Oh, a granite?
Yeah, let's get it granite where I've got kind of definite edge. And I'm just going to take this and just scrub it. That makes a pretty decent edge right there. Don't you think?
I do.
Pretty decent edge. Now if you want to get serious,
Show us close up.
after you've beveled your edge, you can take a piece of sandpaper, and I've got some 400 grit sandpaper here, and I'm just going to kind of sand this edge a little bit and get some of that fuzz off of it. Now let's do the same thing, put a little gum trag on it.
I will say the one thing, I do love gum trag, and a lot of times I will do kind of a final finish with gum trag just over my entire project. It doesn't stay, it's not a glue. And so it doesn't tend to hold a slick edge as long as the Toco Pro or the Tokanol, which does have some binding agents in it. The gum trag is a slicker. Slicker's not the right word. Maybe like a glossing agent, but it's not gluing the fibers together as much as something like the Tokanol does. And so sometimes I'll do this first to kind of bind everything, and then put just
that over it,
just as kind of a final all over, because I just like the way that gum trag, number one, smells and feels.
What I like though, and you can feel the difference. That this is the one that I didn't sand, and down here I did sand, and it makes a lot slicker edge.
Yes, it does.
After you've sanded it a little bit.
Yeah.
But now, as far as the gum trag goes, you can put it on the back of this piece of leather.
Yep.
And this isn't real rough to begin with, but you can just scrub the back, and it'll leave. It lays the nap down on all that fuzzy stuff. And
yep.
So if you're just if you're making a handbag and you've got the inside is just the flesh side of the leather, you can go over it with this gum trag and slick it down, and it looks a lot better.
You can take your glass slicker to it once you got it on there, and you can really lay down those fibers, and that works pretty good.
Yep.
Now
what?
See.
Let's do.
That sanding?
So this section, if you can tell, this section. Oh wait a minute, do I have it backwards?
Yeah, this section I did not sand.
So you can kind of, and then down here was sanded. Yeah. You can actually kind of tell there versus that.
Focus camera.
Come on. Nope, that didn't like that. And I think this also with the sanding, it kind of finishes out, because after you bevel, you have a little bit of a few hard lines from the back and front to where you bevel. And so when you just take a little bit of sandpaper, a high grit, like 400, 600, it kind of just rolls everything out. It makes it just a little bit smoother. So, yeah, I can tell a difference looking at it.
Let's do some 2-ply.
Okay.
And this is a piece of vegetable tan leather, and I'll do it like I do it.
Did you glue that first?
No, I did not glue this.
You did not?
I did not, but it's preferable that you do glue. Just for show, for right here, we probably won't notice a difference.
Yeah.
And this, I'm going to take a little more of an edge off, so I'm going to use one of these Western edge bevelers. I'll just do one edge here. Okay. Now I'm just going to use water and glycerin saddle soap to do this. First, I'm going to dampen it. Not get it real wet, but dampen it pretty good. And then I'm going to go over with this sandpaper. The same sandpaper. This is 400 grit.
And when it's wet, it really helps to like smooth those fibers out and lay them down. It's a pre-burnishing process.
Yeah. Okay, now I've got it sanded down pretty good. Now I'm going to wet it one more time. Then I'm going to take this glycerin saddle soap and rub on it.
I do want to just make a note to everybody, if you're new to leather work. I had a phone call one time. Somebody had called in and they had finished their edges before they did their coloring on the top of the leather. And after you finish your edges, you have probably gotten a little wily with a lot of your finishing products, which makes it very difficult to color and dye leather or antique it on the surface. So edge finishing needs to be the last thing that you do in your leather project, or you need to be done with a dyeing process. In your construct, yeah.
Okay, that's just a water burnish there with a little bit of sandpaper.
That's pretty nice.
You put some glycerin on it.
Yep. little saddle soap finish. And this is, Denny does this to most things.
Yeah, that's how I generally finish. But you know, I don't use a lot of chrome tan leather.
Yeah.
In the stuff that I do generally, so.
Yeah, when it comes to edge finishing, so you have to have something that does have some sort of veg content in it in order to burnish and lay down the fibers. If you're working with chrome tan upholstery leathers, typically they're too soft, they're too pliable, and you can't burnish them in this method. Sometimes if you have some firmer oil tan leathers, you might be able to do a little bit of, like, that's really what the Toco Pro and Toconol is made for, is finishing chrome tan leathers. But even then, you still need to have a firmer oil tan styled leather in order to really finish it. Otherwise, that's when you start to see a lot of the edge painting happen, is on chrome tan leathers that you really can't burnish. You really just have to cover the fiber of the leather.
And fill it up. Mm-hmm. You fill it up and then glaze over it, and that makes it nice and smooth. You did that on your clutch.
I did do that on my clutch.
And it looked wonderful,
Yeah.
I thought.
And that was veg tan, but it was 2-ply veg where I had like a thin, it was like 2 to 3 ounce import, and the 2 to 3 ounce import has a real fleshy back. And I could not get a clean edge because it was too fleshy, and the leather it would just grab all the debris. Like even my hands were clean, my surface was clean, but just the sanding, it just wanted to gum up and discolor the edge, and I couldn't get that out, and so I ended up painting it.
Yeah,
I did try to finish it for a long time, not painted.
It looked beautiful. You don't need to feel bad about what
They
you did.
they did say that my edges looked nice, so I
Yeah.
accomplished that.
Okay, let's bevel this other edge on this and put something else on it and see what happens. Oh, we've got this,
Oh, the
yeah,
Angelus burnishing gum?
yeah. Let's try that. I've never tried it.
Let's try her out. So this is a newer product on the market. They kind of made it to where you can mix it with their paints and do edge finishing, which we have done. But this time we are going to show you just how it does a natural edge.
Yeah, I've never tried it, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, pig, this is saved. It'll be on YouTube forever. Unless it's terrible. But it probably won't be.
I'm going to close this up before I knock it over. Anderson has a new edge burnishing technique that he was showing me.
Oh, yeah?
I probably can't do it justice, but I'll try it here in a minute. He uses atom wax,
Okay.
and it really did look good.
You want to make sure you got a piece of canvas on hand, and then a lot of times some sort of a slicker. A lot of people use antler is a pretty good slicker, so if you have any pretty smooth antlers sitting around in your house, some of you people have those things. Or you can buy one of these wood burnishers that are just a couple bucks, and they work pretty well to get the edge slick. You know, edging is something that you can spend a little amount of time, or you can spend a lot of time on your edges. That looks
I'm
nice.
impressed.
Whew.
That is slick.
Yeah, so this is our, back at the top, Tony. So this is our water and saddle soap edge right here. And then this is the Angelus burnishing gum. Let's see here.
You can't chew it.
We don't have a number on it. But that is slick.
Boy, it is slick.
Yeah.
I bet it stays that way too.
Yeah, it probably has some glue properties in it.
I do wonder how it's different from the gum trag. The gum trag is not quite as clear.
6-118.
6-118. Why do you use a dauber? I've always applied things with my finger.
You can?
Because we're going to be using a bunch of different types.
Yeah, because I only got so many fingers.
He has all 10 of them still. Somehow he made it through life. That's real nice.
This is an acrylic.
Mm-hmm.
It has water, polymers, ethanol, and an ethanol preservative. Wow.
Denny's impressed.
I am impressed. I like that.
It's a good product, and
Yeah.
I don't think it's, what is it, like $8 or something for, maybe it's more expensive than that, maybe it's $10, but it's a good one.
This is what Anderson did. This is just atom wax.
Okay.
And I don't remember exactly how he did it, but I probably
You gonna
ought to-
try it on the other side? See if you can
Yeah.
get it to match.
Can you follow that up?
We'll show you.
And this little machine that he came up with, I don't know about it, but we'll see what happens here. He said you got to prime it.
Oh, that applies it nicely.
Mm-hmm. So this is Phoebe's Leather Balm with Atom Wax, which is typically, like, we spray this as a finish a lot, but you can apply it with a dauber.
And he said he goes over it once, and then lets that kind of dry a little bit, and then goes over it the second time.
Okay.
But this is an experiment for me, because I've never done it before. Although that does look pretty good. But I didn't sand that either.
So this is, oh yeah, no you didn't. And so it really could use a little bit of sanding
I'm
there.
going to do that right now.
Yep, a little bit of sanding, but this was Andy's side that he did. And that's a dark edge.
Yeah.
Sand it up.
Okay, now let's go over it one more time.
That'll sound. This one is. And really for me, I like to do a combination of water and sanding. And I might do that like 3 or 4 times until I feel pretty good about my edge. Like I come out from the grinder, I usually go in once I've got all my layers, you know, together, and I have sewn the leather. Because what you'll find is if you try to finish your edge before you sew it, as you tighten that leather together, as you're sewing, it'll pucker the edge.
Yeah, it crawls, yeah.
It'll crawl. You'll get an uneven edge, even if you've already sanded and finished all of it. You'll have to do it all over again. So I always sew first, and then I usually have a pretty good sand on my edge before I go into my sewing process, just so I can make sure, you know, I get my line where I want it to be, and I don't have to do a lot of sanding after. Like, you want your edge to be where you want it to be, and then you stitch. And then you do your finishing and just take off those extra little puckers that happen after you've sewn. But I'll do a couple, you know, layers of get it wet and then sand it down. Get it wet, sand it down. Because sometimes when you come out from the, you know, if you are lucky enough to have a grinder or some sort of mechanical sander at home, whether it's, you know, the Cobra burnishing unit or just like a Harbor Freight tabletop burnishing unit.
Spindle sander.
Yeah, whatever it is that you're using to get that edge nice and clean. Or if you've allowed enough room and you're good enough with your knife and you can oversize your parts and then trim exact, that's probably the best place to start with an edge, is a perfectly trimmed edge, if you are crafty enough to do that.
And there's the old, take a piece of broken glass, shave the edge.
That's right. Oh,
Works
I
good.
should. Oh, he did bring me. That's what Nick showed me. And you can do it with just your knife.
Yeah, there's a piece right.
Oh, maybe I'll just do this one.
I already sanded that a little bit. But yeah, there you go.
You gotta do it on camera though, Liz.
Try. Good old Nicholas. And I should be holding this like this, but I'll try to do it here. You're just gonna scrape the edge. So like I ended up in Atlanta with like 1,000 grit sandpaper and an edge that needed more work than 1,000 grit could accomplish. And so I was sitting there and Nick was like, well, let's just scrape the edge. And so, yeah, this is an old shoemaker's trick of you get the welt on the sole all done, and then you go and you scrape off until it's smooth. So if you find yourself in a pickle, get yourself a sharp knife.
I never had a power sander.
Yeah.
I never did, but I had a piece of glass. That's how I always finish my edges, with glass.
So how I was doing it down in Atlanta.
Any of you that are woodworkers, that's the same. It works like a cabinet scraper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that'll get you to a pretty refined edge, and then you can go from there with your sandpaper.
I don't know if you can see these little particles that came off, but it actually takes material off.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a pretty good pile of
Yeah.
Leather dust.
leather dust.
Now.
Yeah, so do that, and then I start my sanding with my sandpaper, water and sand, until that edge is just like, I mean, if I left it alone, it'd probably be better than 85% of edges, but we can get it to 100% of edge by doing, the Tokonol or the Toco Pro. What did I end up getting? No, that's what I had. I had the Toco Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tokonol and Toco Pro are basically the same.
They're very,
material.
Yeah.
And another thing that I do, you were talking about when you dye an edge and paint the edge and everything. After I've done a water burnish on mine, if I'm going to dye my edge.
That's when you do
And
it.
I don't use paint, I use dye.
Yeah.
And dye that edge and let it get almost dry and then go over it with a piece of canvas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it will make it slick as glass.
Yep.
It really will. You got to be careful and not get it up on the project, but if you just hit the edge with the canvas, it really makes it shine.
Yep.
It looks as good as paint.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got a good smooth edge.
That's right. So let's see here. So how's your drying going on your Atom wax?
Well,
Is it ready for another coat?
I think so. I guess.
Oh, did you sand it a little bit?
I sanded it a little bit, but it feels like it needs more sand down here.
Do more. Do you have any finer sandpaper?
Finer than 400, I don't.
You got 2,000?
Yeah, you use all that really fine grit sandpaper, don't you, Liz?
I do. Yeah, I steal Chris's. I usually will do like a 600 and then maybe a 1200 as my final. Because then, Dean, it just feels so good.
It's not going to last forever. It'll probably get fuzzes back up on it.
It depends on the project.
True. But that first time that you hold on something brand new and it feels delightful, that's what you want your customers.
Can one of you go ask Isaac where he got this bottle? Not Isaac. Isaac, can you go ask Andy where he got this bottle?
I think that's some sort of a glue bottle or something
Stacy
like
and I
that.
found them for us to carry them. We're just waiting for
did
Rusty to say yes or no. Just kick the camera.
I
This
know,
way.
I did.
Because, Dean, you can be so over dramatic with your edges, it's not even funny, and that's how I like to edge. Oh, that's nice.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I worked on that end more than this end, but
Yeah, because sometimes if you don't sand the fuzzies and just like the little bit of, I don't know if you can see it. Like there is still texture in this edge. It is not.
Oh, you can see the little fuzzes right there where the two pieces are together.
Yeah, it is not completely smooth and flat. There are still some little fuzzies up there at the top, where down here where he did a little bit more sanding and edging, everything is laid down. Like the edge is a piece of wood at this point. You know, there's
Yeah, it looks like a single piece.
yeah, yeah, no seam, no more fuzzies, no contours. Because, like, yeah, even up here, you can see that there's still parts of the leather that are sitting below the surface of where we've burnished. Amazon?
Well, I don't know. He said it was a random box of samples that had glue in it, but were labeled as paint markers.
Oh, so maybe a paint marker. I wonder if Angela's, I wonder, it would have their name on it if it was Angela's, probably.
Sorry, that's not.
I'm gonna say this bottle, as I throw it across the room, has their little crown.
Yeah.
I think that's the Angela's crown. In any case, I guess we're working on finding those, but that is a handy little dispenser.
Talk about this.
We'll work on it, Leslie. All right. So you can also paint your edges. You do want to get them to, actually, I'll just use that. So before you paint, you want your edge to already be
Burnished.
burnished and ready to go. So you can use a dauber for paint. Sometimes what I like to do is use a sponge. I like to use just like a hard sponge, so not one that's like wet out of the package that's still damp, but a hardened, just dried sponge. You put a little bit of your edge finish or your edge paint on there, and then wipe it across, and that usually stays pretty darn good. But you want something that's firm, otherwise you'll get onto the surface of what you're doing, and that's not good. So this is just Phoebe's Black Edge Coat. So we're all burnished. And this is a little edge roller that we carry. And like, I haven't used this edge coat all that much, but I don't imagine that it's too much different from paint. You don't want to worry it a lot, because the more you worry it, the worse it looks. So you really just want to get a coat on there, and then, is Chevy in here? Chevy, can I tell your secret? Chevy was telling me, because I sanded and all these things, and I had such a hard time getting the little air bubbles out of my paint. So it would dry, but there would be these little air bubble spots all over my edge, and I would just sand, and then I'd reapply my paint, and then I'd sand and reapply, and I probably did 5 different coats of paint, which sometimes that's just what it takes, because really the best thing to do with paint is to apply it pretty thin, sand it, and then reapply. I'll allow it. Cool. So what Chevy does is he takes alcohol and he runs that over his edge, and he said that evens it out.
After the paint's on there?
Mm-hmm. Is that right, Chevy? You take a little bit of alcohol after it's dried a little bit, or maybe it's completely dry probably, and that evens everything out. It's not my secret. I haven't tried it since he told me it, so I haven't seeded it in my mind. Because edge painting is not my thing.
I'll tell you what, edge painting, edge dyeing is dangerous. You can ruin a project that you've worked a long time on if you are not very, very careful. And even then, accidents happen.
Yeah. I don't remember if you said that you mix it with water, Nick, or if you just apply it directly. But yeah, that was the most frustrating thing, was those air bubbles. Like, it would look all smooth, and then it would just have these little air bubbles.
Is that water base?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's an acrylic.
It's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I think at this point I probably should let it dry. Yeah, so when you go to apply a color to an edge, whether it's paint or the edge dye, like this edge coat, you want something that is rather firm. So this is a metal tip, or just like a dry sponge, something that isn't going to bend over. Like, don't apply it with a dauber.
A dauber, I've heard people say take a cigarette lighter and burn all the fuzz off of a dauber, but it still is too pliable.
Yeah, yeah, and too fuzzy.
It has the wraparound effect.
I know, I feel like I'd get something on some little fuzzy and then I'd go to pull it and it would pull a little fuzz across the top.
Yeah, one little
one little fuzz covered in paint. That would just be the end.
That's the pits.
After it's dried, you sand it smooth with a wet paper towel that's folded nice and tight, and do one nice pass. It gets gooey if you wipe too much. One pass. Isopropyl or denatured alcohol. Let's see here. Red Horse says, the problem that I have is I get tiny spots of glue that squeezes out from between the leather edges. Is there a way to remove the glue? With a glue eraser? I guess if you have a lot of glue coming out, but that really should go away when you sand it.
Sand the heck out of it.
Yeah.
That's the best you can do. Another thing, when you apply the glue, and I've talked about this, wipe off the edge. Don't wipe against the edge.
Come off.
Yeah, like if you're spreading glue here, come spread like this and
from the center out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that'll keep the glue or cement off the edge for the most part.
Yeah. If you have problems with a lot of glue coming out, you can take a glue eraser, which is just one of those
Gum
erasers, and you can drag it across your edge, and that will try to pull all the excess glue off and then sand from there.
Also, thin coats of cement. Mm-hmm. Very thin, because the minute you gob cement on there, even if you let it tack up for a long time, it's still a big gob there.
And my biggest issue, so going back to the clutch that I made for the leather debut, my leather, like the 2 to 3 ounce leather that I used for the liner of it, it was so fibrous on the back that those fibers just like held onto the glue and wouldn't let go. Like I was just fighting that, which is why, because I think that's why it ended up looking dirty, is because I could just never really, I don't know, between the glue, the loose fibers, all the things. If your leather is super fibrous, then that might cause that issue more. So depending on what you're making, you're always going to have the best edge with veg tan.
Yeah.
It's the firmest, it burnishes the best. When you're working with chrome tans or leathers that are really loose on the back, I think it's always going to be a little bit of a struggle, where painting is just going to be the best option because it'll hide all of those flaws. And when it comes to painting, you want to do thin coats. You want to do really light, thin coats, and try not to put a crazy amount on, because once it starts to bend and move, then you'll get cracking issues with the paint. So nice thin coats and maybe a couple layers of really thin, instead of like super heavy thick coats that are going to be more prone to crack.
Yeah, if you put a thin coat on and let it dry, then put another thin coat on, that second coat actually softens the first coat back up and adheres to it.
Yeah.
So you've got essentially a thick coat, but it's in 2 thin coats.
Yeah, and it's more pliable.
You don't have that bubble, buckle, rumpled up deal.
Bubble, buckle, rumple.
Yeah.
This edge coat, it's good. We use it quite a bit on different things, but it's a really pretty good edge coat. Once again, put it on thin. So put it on thin. Maybe sand it a little bit if you get a heavy spot, but like this really shouldn't crack as you use it. I think the edge coat is a little bit thinner than what paint normally is.
Yes, it is. You know, and the smoother the better burnish job you've got before you ever start to put on your edge coat, the better off you'll be.
Yeah. Phoebe's black edge coat. And they actually make this in a ton of colors now. Here a couple years back they had black and brown. How exciting. And maybe like a tan that was a really weird tan. It was probably the weirdest tan I've ever seen. It was like orange. And now they've got a whole array of colors for their edge coats.
I almost got something off the wall to bring in here, but I didn't.
He almost went wild.
I thought, let's just do black.
Yeah. No, that looks really good, and that really is not going to crack on you.
No.
It's nice and flexible. That looks good. I like that quite a bit. That was a good edge coat. Chevy uses heatable paint. Is it coming? Is it still a little tacky?
I'm just wondering if it was how quickly it dried. It's still a little tacky, but
Man, that does look good though. I wonder, so we put this on top of the Atom wax. I'm curious if we did it on something else, if there would be a difference on how it finishes. But let's see here. The Tokonol comes in a brown and a black. So once again, you could do the same thing that you do with the clear or with the edge coats from Phoebe's in a brown or a black with the Tokonol. That is quite brown.
Let's try it.
I probably should have cleaned this off when I was done. Dean, the best one is the one that works best for your project. I feel like I'm putting chocolate on here.
Hey, Denny, will you just move her forward a little bit?
One thing this is just not spreading very good. One thing I like to tell people is like cutting your parts and like oversizing things so that you can do a little bit of a final trim.
Yeah, I can help you too.
Before you go at your edging will help you have a better edge. When you try to line up 3 perfectly cut parts, like for me specifically when I'm trying to make a knife sheath, or if you're doing something that has many layers that are thick and maybe, well, just thick, it can get really difficult if you haven't cut your parts super precisely, or if they haven't gone together super precisely and you have an undersized welt and oversized edges, or it's the opposite where it just doesn't work out. It just doesn't work out. So there's sometimes, and then you end up sanding. You have to sand too much, and you sand into what you need to have as your stitch line. So what I like to do is kind of oversize everything the same And then, you know, once I get done and have everything assembled, I will trim to a top line, and then I'll start sanding so that you don't have to worry about having undersized parts.
Yeah, the finished side, you want to cut that exact.
Mm-hmm.
But all the rest, the like welts and liners and everything, you want those to run a little bit large.
Yeah, and then you can trim to the top.
Yes.
I don't like this.
I'm not liking this.
I'm not loving this brown.
Well, now that's a tokenol though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a burnishing agent, supposedly. As opposed to a paint.
That is true. I don't think I've ever done this before. Let me see. Let me get a paper towel. Oh, I had one. I feel like I'm gonna make a mess.
Yeah, that's exactly what you should have done, I think. My opinion, of course.
Mm. So it's more delicate than antiquing.
By rights, I bet if you use that like on that buffalo,
Yeah. Oh, I bet
which
that
is
would
already brown, you wouldn't have to worry about
be. Yeah.
the overabundance of it.
That is just a nice.
It does look good.
I don't know, overhead maybe. I don't know if it's too much darker, or maybe you could keep doing some layers and then burnishing it up. But so that's the brown tokenol. It does feel good.
Yeah.
You want me to try that?
Yeah, let me
Oh, here, why don't I
bevel this edge.
could try this little section that we already burnished down here. There we go.
Yeah, see, it makes it look like that's struck through.
Yeah.
Yeah, that worked good.
That's nice. So that's the brown tokenol on the edge of a vintage tan buffalo.
That looks really good on that.
Yeah, it does. That came out really good.
I like that better than on natural veg.
Yeah, that really, and I don't know, maybe I took too much off and I should have just burnished it in, but I was afraid it was going to get on the top and the bottom, and then, you know, I wouldn't have the natural.
If it gets on there, it's going to dye the face or the back.
Yeah.
Well, it's not supposed to act like a paint, I don't think.
Right.
I think it's a dye.
Yeah, it's just supposed to add a little bit of color to
Yeah.
That's
whatever it is
nice.
you burnish.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys are using any brown buffaloes or probably even the brown Herman Oak or something, and you wanted to put a little bit of an extra edge on it.
What kind of brown veg or sharp you got over there? pass that dead apart.
You could cut me off a piece of one of those.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going with a dabber.
Gibbity dob.
I mean, Dean, I sand with water, and then I use Tokonol. So that's my preferred method. This burnishing gum, though, that worked really well. And then typically I'll do, the last layer will be, so this is SB Foot, and it has that chrome line in it. That looks good.
It does.
Hold that up. Low. That's rubbing that Tokonol in some more?
Yeah. That's 2-ply.
Oh, yeah.
And I just burnished it. It hadn't been burnished before. I just burnished it with the brown Tokonol.
So this is just a piece of kind of oily SB Foot. This might be a little stark brown for the edge, but we'll figure it out.
Wow. We are trying to see how the edge finishes. The black Tokonol might look good on that. Black and brown.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't look bad.
That took away that crust line.
Yeah, I was going to say, so that's what the edge did look like, this little tip down here. So now,
That looks good.
yeah,
It just colored the crust.
it feels good.
And it got it back to kind of that brown where it fits with the brown.
Ooh. Yeah. Oh, I like that. I think you could do a couple more coats. A little bit more sanding. See if you can layer up the color a little bit, maybe. Let's see here, Denny, what other tips do we have for people that are doing edges?
Gosh, I don't know. Canvas, that's your friend. Canvas and water and whatever kind of if you want to use a burnishing agent, you know, you just scrub it with a canvas. The more you scrub it, if you can get it hot, that's what happens. That's what does the job, because
Yeah.
the friction makes those fibers lay down. And,
Sometimes I'll kind of burn my fingers if I'm going to town too much.
yeah. Yeah. But you know, if you don't get a good edge, I mean, if you don't get a good smooth edge, sand it some more
Yeah.
and reburnish, you know. Just keep working on it, because you can come out with a good edge no matter what. If you work at it.
If you look at your edges and you can still see variations between the different layers of leather that you haven't gone far enough. You need to either take your knife to it and even everything out like we were showing you, go to your grinder, even everything out, and just keep going until you've got, because you'll have some tough spots here or there. You might have a piece of leather that's a little bit softer, that just doesn't seem to it wants to push down instead of sand, which is sometimes you can go in with your little burnishing stick and like some little spots and like custom burn in there if you just can't seem to get it sanded down.
Anything that's real fibrous, if you wet it a little bit before you sand, you don't want to just get it soaking wet, but get some moisture in it, and it'll take those fuzzy parts off a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, a lot of times, ooh, this is coming out good. People that are working with chrome tan leathers, you know, they're gonna skive the edge and they're gonna roll it.
Yeah.
You know, if you have that option, that's another thing that you could do with something like this. You skive down that edge, you roll it over. There's no edge finishing to be done.
It's a finished edge then.
Yeah.
We'll be making a bag that won't have rolled edges on it.
That is
For
true.
too long. For too long. Just
Chevy, why do you burn your daubers?
because bored.
Have you heard of that, Denny?
To get the wild hairs off.
He just says, have you guys burnt your daubers?
Yeah, we
Yes.
talked. Denny
Yeah.
talked about it just a minute ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that what you're talking about, Nick?
Don't say you weren't listening. I'm editing the website, talking on support, listening to the video, changing cameras, and still listening.
Well, you know, I made that little edge dyer, you know, out of a piece of copper tubing. And
You
and a piece
did.
of felt.
Yeah, you basically had that. You weren't
Yeah.
feeding it with fluid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody can come up with their own perfect way to do things.
Yeah. Yeah, do just like Josh said. You do what works for you. You find your method and your products that you love depending on what leather that you're using. Oh man, I will say that this is looking pretty nice.
It is. It is. I've never seen a piece of oil tan or chrome tan leather look that nice. The edge.
Oh yeah, that is coming out good. That feels good. At first I didn't love the color on the edge, but the more I've built it up, it's gotten a little bit darker. It looks nice. Makes your dauber more precise. Let's see here, on the tokonol, does it make a difference letting it dry a little before polishing? It says that on the container. It does. It kind of settles it a little bit. I've noticed that, especially like with the clear, when I go in to do my knife sheaths, I'll put it on, and then I just, you know, I don't give it a super long time, but maybe a minute or two. I'll just kind of let it sit on the edge for a second and penetrate the fibers a little bit, maybe tack up a little bit, and then start rubbing. Sometimes I feel like if I just start rubbing it, my burnishing
Just wipes
cloth
it off.
just becomes the tokonol. Okay, so I'm just gonna, so this is Denny's edge that he saddle soaped, which still feels really good, but it's not shiny, which you might actually do after you're done with everything. You're probably gonna go over it with paste saddle soap,
Yeah.
which will give it a little bit more of a sheen, but it doesn't, so you can kind of see this leaves it super natural, and you can even still dye through the saddle soap.
Sure.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So this will give you just a really nice natural looking edge. It's not shiny. It feels good. And then this was the burnishing gum. So you do have a little bit more of a shine. It darkened it a little bit. You can also see that it did darken the leather around it. So a lot of times what I'll do if I am using the burnishing gum or a clear agent, I will cover the whole thing, especially if I'm doing something natural, because you will get that line where you can see where your product has dried on the surface. We might even, I don't know if we'll have one on the front. Let's see. It looks like we did pretty good on the front. But I'll just cover the whole thing in gum trag or the burnishing gum or whatever. It's not going to hurt anything if you do that. But that does give you a little bit more of a shine. And don't judge our crack. We didn't glue it together.
That.
I mean, we could try it. We don't have any dye. It's acrylic, so I almost feel like it's going to be more of a barrier. You can try it. I don't know. Yep, denim from old jeans works. Dean, do you ever find that you have bleed off from the blue of the denim if you're doing something natural?
Don't use a pair of new jeans. Get a pair that are actually almost worn out, where all the dye has pretty much been washed out of them.
Beeswax is good. I know, I've watched the video of Kerry Schwartz, and he does his beeswax. He's got some formula that he does.
That's the final step, though. If you're going to do any kind of a dye job or anything,
You're gonna be out of luck.
You want to beeswax the final
Yeah.
step.
Yeah. And he uses a hot, like a brass head that is probably heated as he applies it.
Yeah. And old Bob, the guy that showed me how to build saddles, he would use paraffin on the edges, and that also leaves a nice shine on it, but it's a sealer.
Yeah. Alrighty, folks. I think that's it. I don't see any more questions. So thanks for joining. Next week we're going to be talking about hand stitching. So we'll go over kind of the same thing that we did here. All the different products that you could, might, should, maybe, possibly want to use for hand sewing. So we will see you back then. I hope everybody has a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.